It was a cold, stormy night. The wind howled through the empty halls of Michael's mansion, carrying with it the echoes of a love that once filled every room. In a dark corridor, lit only by the weak light of a flickering lamp, Michael sat in an armchair with his head bowed low. The rain tapped steadily on the tall, arched windows, as if it were counting the moments of his loneliness. Every creak of the floor, every whisper of the wind reminded him of the night when Emily, the woman he had loved more than life itself, had walked away. That night, the silence in the house had spoken volumes of broken dreams and lost hope. Michael's heart ached with memories of laughter, shared secrets, and warm embraces that had now turned into distant, painful recollections. For 3 long years, Michael had lived in the shadow of that one dark moment. The emptiness in his eyes and the heavy burden in his soul were the constant companions of a man who had everything in the world except the one thing that made life truly complete: love. As a successful CEO of a large company, Michael had built a life of wealth and success, yet none of his riches could fill the void left by the loss of Emily. Every day, the memory of her smile and the sound of her soft voice haunted him, especially on nights like this when the storm outside mirrored the turmoil inside his heart. In the depths of that painful solitude, Michael began to question all his choices. He recalled the day when their life together had begun to crack, a day filled with harsh words and silent stares that soon escalated into the final blow. Even now, as he sat alone, the memory of that fateful moment was as sharp as the chill in the air. He remembered the letter she had left behind, the one that explained how she felt trapped in a life that had slowly turned cold and empty. Though the words were gentle, they were laced with sorrow and regret. Michael had been too proud to see his own faults, too stubborn to admit that his need for control had driven a wedge between them. And so, with a heavy heart, he had let her go. Over the years, Michael had tried to drown his sorrow in work and endless business deals. He built towering offices and expanded his empire, yet the joy in his heart remained locked away, buried under piles of regrets and unspoken apologies. He even tried to find solace in fleeting moments of distraction, attending lavish parties, taking long trips, and meeting new people. But none of it could erase the lingering pain of losing Emily. Every bright moment was dimmed by the thought that he had lost the most precious part of his life. Then, one crisp autumn morning, a letter arrived. It was a simple note with no grand promises or flowery words, but it carried a warmth that Michael had not felt in years. The handwriting was familiar, soft, and caring. It was from Emily. The letter spoke of long nights of reflection and a desire to forgive, not out of weakness, but because she had never stopped loving him. In that moment, Michael felt something shift inside him. It was as if a small light had been kindled in the darkness, promising a chance to heal and start anew. He knew then that he had to find her, to meet her, and to try to mend the bridge that he had once allowed to crumble. Michael's journey toward redemption and second chances began slowly. He recalled the happy times they had shared, walking hand in hand in the park, quiet evenings spent cooking together, and the many small moments that had woven their hearts into one. He began to see the ways in which he had taken that love for granted. Determined to make things right, he reached out to mutual friends and looked through old letters, photographs, and mementos of a past that he dearly missed. With every piece of their shared history he revisited, Michael felt both regret for his past mistakes and hope for a future that might still hold happiness. The first time he saw her in years was on a bright spring afternoon in a small cafe by the lake. Michael had hesitated at the door, his heart pounding as he scanned the room. There, sitting quietly with a cup of tea and a book in her hand, was Emily. The years had touched her gently. Her eyes held both sadness and the deep kindness that had once captured his heart. Their eyes met for an instant, a moment so brief that it felt as if time itself had paused. Michael felt the old spark, the flicker of a love that had never truly died. And in that silent exchange, he knew that this meeting was the start of something new. After that brief encounter, Michael took a deep breath and approached her table. "Emily," he said softly, using the name that had echoed in his heart for years. She looked up, startled at first, then smiled hesitantly. The conversation was quiet and cautious at first. Michael apologized for the mistakes he had made, for the pride that had kept him from showing the love she deserved. Emily listened, her eyes welling up with tears of both sorrow and relief. It was as if the painful distance between them was slowly closing, each word paving the way for forgiveness. Over the next few months, Michael made every effort to show Emily that he had changed. He no longer ran from his emotions, and instead, he learned to embrace his vulnerabilities. Their meetings became more frequent. They took long walks by the lake, shared simple meals in small restaurants, and spent quiet evenings talking about the things that mattered. Michael opened up about his fears and regrets, and Emily, too, shared her own struggles. Slowly, the old wounds began to heal, replaced by new layers of trust and understanding. The simple, honest moments between them created a bond stronger than before. Despite the progress, there were moments when the past seemed ready to pull them back into old habits. One rainy evening, while sitting by a cozy fireplace in Michael's study, Emily's voice trembled as she asked, "Do you think we can really start over?" Her eyes searched his face for any sign of the man she once knew, a man who had let pride and power come between their love. Michael reached out and took her hand. "I believe we can," he replied, his voice steady and sincere. "I have learned from my mistakes. I want to build a new life with you, one that is filled with trust, kindness, and love." In the months that followed, their love grew steadily, as tender as a spring bud unfolding its petals. Michael took time off from his hectic work schedule, choosing instead to spend quiet, unhurried days with Emily. Together, they visited old places that held memories of their happier times, and slowly, the laughter began to return. They planned small trips, enjoying each other's company without the weight of expectations. Each shared smile and gentle word helped them rediscover the beauty of their connection. As the seasons changed, so did the nature of their relationship. The past, once a source of pain and regret, became the soil from which new hope could grow. Michael and Emily learned that forgiveness was not a single act, but a journey that required patience, understanding, and a willingness to let go of old fears. They started small, a shared cup of coffee in the morning, a walk in the park on a sunny afternoon, and the comfort of a simple, "I love you" whispered at night. However, even as their love deepened, Michael could not shake the feeling that there was still one final test awaiting them. Late one night, when the moon hung low in the sky and the silence was thick with unspoken words, Michael received a call from one of his old business partners. The voice on the other end of the line was urgent and filled with worry. A large sum of money had gone missing from one of their accounts, and the situation was more serious than it first appeared. The call reminded Michael of a time when greed and a need for control had nearly ruined everything he held dear, including his marriage. The next day, Michael found himself in a dilemma. The old suspicions and shadows of his past were creeping back into his mind. The issue at work threatened to pull him back into the ruthless world of high stakes and cold decisions. In the midst of this, he was forced to face the possibility that his old habits could endanger the fragile happiness he had fought so hard to rebuild with Emily. Emily sensed the change in him. One evening, as they sat together in their small garden, she asked quietly, "Michael, what is it that worries you?" He hesitated, torn between the need to protect his business reputation and the urge to be honest with the woman who had come to mean so much to him. Finally, with a heavy heart, he told her about the financial trouble and the chance that his past might be coming back to haunt him. Emily listened, her eyes filled with both concern and unwavering support. Over the following days, Michael worked tirelessly to sort out the issues at his company. Every moment he spent poring over accounts and meeting with his team was a reminder of the old life that he was trying to leave behind. Yet, despite the pressure and the endless stress, he found strength in the thought of returning to the simple life he was building with Emily. Her love had become his guiding light, a beacon of hope that promised a future free from the mistakes of the past. In a twist that neither of them had expected, the financial trouble turned out to be a misunderstanding. A few weeks later, after long nights of work and worry, Michael discovered that an error in the accounting system had caused the confusion. The missing money was soon recovered, and the crisis was averted. This close call, though, left Michael with a deep realization. His true wealth lay not in his bank accounts or the success of his business, but in the love and trust he shared with Emily. With the crisis behind them, Michael took one final step to seal their renewed bond. On a bright summer day, under a clear blue sky, he invited Emily to join him on a boat ride on the lake where they had first reconnected. The gentle ripples of the water and the soft hum of the boat's engine set a calm scene for what was to come. As they glided along the peaceful lake, Michael reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet box. His hand shook slightly as he opened it to reveal a simple ring, a symbol of his commitment to start fresh and build a new future together. "Emily," he said softly, his eyes meeting hers with a mix of hope and tenderness, "I know I made many mistakes. I let my pride get in the way of our love. I have spent these past years learning what it truly means to care for someone. I promise to be the man you deserve, a man who loves you with all his heart, without letting fear or pride stand in our way. Will you give me another chance?" Tears welled in Emily's eyes as she listened to him. In that moment, all the pain of the past seemed to melt away, replaced by the promise of a new beginning. She reached out and took his hand, her voice barely above a whisper as she said, "Yes, Michael. I have waited all these years for this chance. I want to try again. I want to believe that we can build something beautiful together." The relief and joy that flooded Michael's heart were beyond words. In that quiet moment on the boat, surrounded by the beauty of nature and the strength of their shared love, the past was forgiven and the future beckoned with hope. They spent the rest of the day talking about their dreams, their plans, and the little things that mattered most. It was a day filled with gentle laughter, soft smiles, and a sense of peace that they had both longed for. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the lake, Michael and Emily made their way back to shore. The trials they had faced, both in their personal lives and in the world of business, had taught them the true meaning of love and forgiveness. They understood that every relationship had its struggles, and that true love was about growing together and learning from the past. Their journey had not been easy, but it had led them to a place where hope and happiness could flourish once more. In the days that followed, Michael and Emily continued to rebuild their life together. They made small, everyday promises to each other, promises to communicate, to be patient, and to always remember the importance of kindness. Michael restructured his company so that he could spend more time at home, and together they planned a modest wedding ceremony to celebrate their second chance at love. Friends and family gathered to witness their renewed commitment, and the air was filled with a sense of joy and new beginnings. At the wedding, held in a quiet garden filled with blooming flowers and gentle music, Michael looked into Emily's eyes and saw not just the love of his life, but also the woman who had given him the courage to change. He remembered the long, dark nights of loneliness and regret, and he knew that every moment of pain had been worth it for this second chance at happiness. Emily, radiant in a simple white dress, smiled at him with a warmth that melted away all the doubts of the past. After the ceremony, as they danced slowly under the stars, Michael whispered, "I never thought I would find love again after our parting. I was lost, but you brought me back to life." Emily replied, "I never stopped loving you, Michael. I just needed to see that you were willing to learn from the past and open your heart again." Their words, spoken softly amidst the gentle night, sealed their promise to always hold on to each other. But even in this blissful time, a final test of their love awaited, a twist that would bring the suspense of their journey to a head. One late evening, while Michael was at his office finishing some paperwork, he received an unexpected message. It was from someone claiming to be a friend from his early days in business, someone he had not heard from in years. The message was short and cryptic. "I know what you did. Meet me at the old warehouse if you want to clear your name." The words sent a shiver down his spine, and he felt a familiar pang of fear. Had a secret from his past come back to haunt him? Was there something he had long buried that could threaten the life he was building with Emily? Michael spent a sleepless night replaying old events in his mind. There was a time before he became the powerful CEO, when he had made choices he now regretted. The memory of that period was painful, a time when ambition had blinded him and the lines between right and wrong had blurred. The thought that someone from that era might have a hold over his present was unsettling. He did not want to burden Emily with this dark chapter, but he knew that hiding the truth would only endanger the trust they had rebuilt. When morning came, Michael resolved to face this challenge head-on. He called Emily and told her about the message. Although she was frightened at first, Emily held his hand and said, "We have come so far, Michael. We built our love on truth and forgiveness. Let's face this together." With her unwavering support, Michael arranged a meeting at the warehouse. The day of the meeting was filled with tension. Every moment felt heavy with uncertainty as Michael drove to the old building on the edge of town. At the warehouse, in a dimly lit space filled with old crates and dust, Michael met the mysterious messenger. It turned out that the man was not a foe, but a former colleague who had been silently watching Michael's rise in the business world. The colleague explained that he had learned of a mistake Michael had made in the early days, a mistake that had hurt some people. He said that he had been waiting for Michael to come clean and fix the wrong. The messenger's tone was not one of anger, but of a quiet insistence that Michael needed to atone for his past actions in order to truly move on. For Michael, the revelation was both painful and cathartic. He realized that the guilt he had carried for years was not just about losing Emily, but also about the harm he had caused along the way. With Emily's support, he decided to take responsibility for his past misdeeds. In the weeks that followed, Michael set out to make amends. He met with those he had wronged, apologized sincerely, and took steps to ensure that similar mistakes would never happen again. It was not an easy process. Facing one's past is never simple, but it was a journey that allowed him to finally free himself from the chains of regret. As Michael worked to repair the damage of his past, Emily stood by him, offering love and strength. Their bond grew even stronger as they navigated this storm together. The days of uncertainty slowly gave way to a steady rhythm of honest conversations, shared tears, and moments of quiet understanding. Michael realized that forgiveness was not just a gift he was giving to others, but also a gift he was giving himself. He began to see that his true success lay in the love he nurtured with Emily and in the integrity of his actions. In time, the lingering shadows of Michael's past faded into the background, replaced by the light of a new beginning. The scandal that once threatened to undo everything became a stepping stone to a more honest and humble life. Michael's decision to face his mistakes head-on earned him the respect of many who had once doubted him, and his company slowly regained its good name. More importantly, it showed Emily that the man she had chosen to love was capable of change and redemption. The final test of their love came unexpectedly one clear evening, as they sat together on the porch of their modest new home, a home that Michael had built with his heart rather than with the hands of wealth and power. The sky was painted with the soft hues of dusk, and the cool breeze carried the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. Emily, leaning on Michael's shoulder, asked quietly, "Do you think we will ever face another storm like we did before?" Michael looked into her eyes, filled with trust and love, and replied, "There may be more challenges ahead, but I know we can face them together. We have learned that every storm can pass if we hold on to each other." In that moment, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Michael felt a deep sense of peace. The pain of the past, the guilt of old mistakes, and the long months of loneliness had all led him to this very moment, a moment where love had triumphed over fear, and second chances had turned into a promise of forever. The suspense of that long, troubled journey had finally given way to a clear and hopeful future. Years later, Michael and Emily often sat together on that same porch, recalling the difficult days that had nearly torn them apart. They spoke of regrets, lessons learned, and the courage it took to rebuild a love that once seemed lost. Their story was not one of grand gestures or dramatic turns, but rather one of simple truths, of honesty, forgiveness, and the power of a second chance. They had built a life together that was rich not in wealth or material things, but in the joy of shared moments and the deep understanding that true love could conquer even the darkest of nights. In the quiet mornings, as they sipped coffee and watched the sunrise, Michael would sometimes pause and think of that stormy night so many years ago. He remembered the loneliness, the cold emptiness of a house without love, and the painful echo of lost chances. But those memories had given him the strength to change, to learn, and ultimately, to find his way back to Emily. He often said, "I lost my way for a while, but love showed me the path home." Emily, with her gentle smile and warm heart, always reminded him that everyone makes mistakes, and that true love is not about being perfect. It is about growing together and never giving up on one another. Their journey taught them that even when the world seemed dark and hope was hard to find, a simple act of forgiveness and the willingness to face one's past could lead to a future filled with light. Today, as they celebrate another anniversary, with family and friends gathered in the little garden behind their home, Michael and Emily stand together as a living proof that love, when given a second chance, can blossom into something even more beautiful than before. Their story is a reminder that no matter how deep the wounds of the past, the heart always has room to heal and love again. In the end, Michael and Emily's life together became a peaceful melody, simple, honest, and full of quiet strength. They had walked through dark valleys and weathered fierce storms, only to emerge into a light that promised a new dawn. Their love was not marked by extravagant words or dramatic declarations, but by the everyday moments of care, the gentle touch of a hand, and the unwavering belief that together they could overcome any obstacle. And so, as the night grew quiet and the stars began to shimmer above, Michael held Emily close and whispered, "Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for teaching me what true love is." Emily replied softly, "Our journey was not easy, but it was worth every step. I believe in us, Michael. I always have." In that tender moment, with the soft hum of the night around them, they both knew that they had found something real, a love that had survived pain, doubt, and the tests of time, and that would shine brightly for all the days to come. Their story, filled with hardships and second chances, ended not with a dramatic climax, but with the gentle promise of a future built on trust, understanding, and above all, love. Michael's past no longer haunted him, and Emily's forgiveness had given them both the strength to build a new life, a life where every day was a chance to be better, to love deeper, and to cherish the precious moments that made it all worthwhile. In the years that followed, as they grew older and wiser together, Michael and Emily's home became a place of comfort and hope for all who entered. It was a home where every corner told a story of resilience, every room echoed with laughter, and every window opened to a world filled with the promise of tomorrow. They often invited friends and family to share in their joy, teaching those around them that even the deepest scars can heal when touched by love and forgiveness. And while the memory of that unsettling night would never completely fade from Michael's mind, it served as a constant reminder of how far he had come, a reminder that even the darkest moments can lead to the brightest dawn. The suspense that once filled his days had been replaced by a steady, enduring peace, one that came from knowing that love, when nurtured with care and patience, could overcome any storm. Michael and Emily's journey was a testament to the power of second chances, a story of two people who had lost their way only to find each other again. It was a journey marked by tears and trials, but also by moments of incredible beauty and hope. Their love story, simple yet profound, showed that even when life takes an unexpected turn, the heart has the power to heal and to love again. As the night wore on and the last of the guests left, Michael and Emily sat together in the quiet of their home, holding hands and watching the stars. They knew that life would always bring its challenges, but they also knew that as long as they faced them together, there was nothing they could not overcome. Their hearts beat in unison, a gentle rhythm of hope, forgiveness, and an unbreakable bond that had withstood the test of time. In that peaceful silence, with the memories of the past and the promise of the future mingling in the cool night air, Michael smiled at Emily and said, "I finally understand what it means to be whole. I was lost, but with you, I have found my way back." Emily leaned in closer, her eyes shining with tears of joy, and whispered, "And I have always believed that our love was meant to be, Michael. Every challenge we faced led us here, to this moment of perfect understanding. Their love story, once filled with heartache and regret, had transformed into a journey of growth, acceptance, and renewed hope. Michael and Emily learned that every painful moment was a lesson, and every difficult day was a step toward a happier tomorrow. With each passing day, they built a life that was simple yet rich in meaning, a life where every smile, every tear, and every shared silence was a treasure beyond measure. Now, as they faced the future with hearts full of gratitude and a bond that had only grown stronger with time, Michael and Emily knew one truth above all: love was worth fighting for. Their story was a clear reminder that sometimes the most unsettling beginnings can lead to the most beautiful endings. And in their case, that ending was not a close of a chapter, but the start of a life filled with endless hope, second chances, and the promise that true love will always find a way. Their journey continues, not as a tale of lost dreams and regret, but as a story of forgiveness, healing, and the simple truth that every day brings with it a chance to start over. Michael and Emily's life together is proof that even the deepest wounds can mend with time, that every broken heart has the potential to be whole again, and that love, when given a second chance, shines brighter than ever. And so, on that warm summer night, as the stars twinkled overhead and the gentle breeze carried with it the soft whispers of hope, Michael and Emily embraced the future with open hearts. Their past, though filled with pain and regret, was now a memory, a lesson that had taught them the value of love and the strength of forgiveness. With every sunrise, they stepped forward into a day filled with new promise, knowing that together, they could face whatever came their way. In the end, Michael's decision to take back his wife was more than a grand gesture. It was a commitment to change, a promise to honor the love they once shared, and a vow to build a future where every moment was cherished. Their story stands as a gentle reminder that no matter how dark the night, the light of love will always guide the way home. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here and supporting what I do. Your comments and feedback mean the world to me. If you enjoyed this, please take a moment to leave a comment and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future updates. I love hearing from you, and your support helps keep this community growing. Thanks again, and let's keep the conversation going.